Welcome back, brothers and sisters. It is I, Father Doom, your basement-dwelling nerd, and I'm here on the bandwagon. I am clinging to the back of it for dear life to talk about how D&D YouTube is dying, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to talk about, I want to talk about, actually, Dragon Magazine, issue 227. I believe this was published in 1996. It's titled Dragon Magazine, Underdark Survival Techniques. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because my dad actually has an article in this magazine. He submitted a piece about how to design a dungeon, and specifically how to design one that feels lived in and has like a real good purpose behind it, and it isn't just like randomly generated in front of your players with not a lot of thought gone into it. And you might be asking, what the fuck does that have to do with D&D YouTube dying? Well, let me tell you. My take on everything that's going on right now in the D&D YouTube sphere is that the channels that are doing well are run by people who are having fun. They're enjoying the process. They're having fun making the videos that they're making about, whether it be something totally new and their own original idea, or a rehashing of how to prep a session, how to run a campaign, how to design a town, right? Anything, any type of content can do well on YouTube, I believe, if the person who makes it is genuinely passionate about it and isn't doing it just to fill a content schedule. And how do I know that? Because I have gone through that full life cycle. My channel is, I think, like, I started it right around the start of COVID, so it's like 4 or 5 years old. And in the beginning, I was having so much fun. Every video I put out, everything I talked about, it was the first time I was talking about it. I was really excited to share my ideas. I felt like I was bringing something new to the table, and so I was just cranking out content, putting out pretty decent stuff, and my channel grew really fast. But then, as time went on, I started to kind of not run out of ideas, but maybe I just wasn't feeling as like excited about it. I wasn't as very passionate about it. To be completely honest with all of y'all, I kind of fell into a pretty rough mental health rut and abused the Benjamin a lot. Although I think coming up this Wednesday, I am almost a full month sober, which is, hey-oh, pretty awesome. Getting a little off track there, but to bring it back, like, I fell out of love with making D&D content, and I was making it, like I just said a moment ago, for the wrong reasons. I was making it to fill a content schedule. Felt like I had to have a video going out every day. I had to have a short going out, multiple every day. And eventually what ended up happening is I resented it so much that I had almost nothing going out for a little while. And then I sort of fell back in love with it, and I realized, like, hey, maybe AI images aren't something I want to use, and I got rid of that, and I literally killed my YouTube channel. I purged it of content. There was almost nothing left on my channel. I've been slowly building it back up, and only just now recently, after watching a few videos about the D&D YouTube sphere, I just watched a recent one from Paladin Pros, who he's a friend of the channel. He's an awesome guy. I really liked his take on things. But after watching a couple different opinions on it, I kind of just left the video, or I sat with my thoughts and thought, I thought that the people who are not doing super well, and that includes me, I don't think are making content for the right reasons right now. I think that there is a lot of cope going on with this algorithm talk, and this discussion of like, well, there's boomers and there's zoomers and there's all these different people who are watching and stuff like that. It's like, that's true, and people consume content differently. Like, my shorts will almost always do better than my long format videos, but is that because that's just the type of content that does really well, or is it because I just have more fun making shorts? I think it's because I have more fun making shorts. Like, literally just today, a few hours before I decided to sit down and film this little kind of spontaneous ramble, I did a video about competent guard tactics. And it was just a little short. It was like 3 minutes long or less. And it was just 4 ideas of how guards can be more effective in taking down heroes or vigilantes or murder hobos or whatever. And it was fun. Like, I used my little minis and I gave some demos on the board, and it was good. And it's performing better. It's like my #1 best performing video. And that, when I saw that and paired it with the video I've been watching, and I was thinking about Dragon Magazine, I just realized, yeah, that D&D YouTube is not dying. I think we are just we're all collectively suffering a bit of burnout from the creators who have, and specifically some of the creators who've been towards the top. I'm speaking for them, so I could be way off, and that's just the risk I'm kind of running here. But I can't imagine I'm the only creator who like saw a big burst during those COVID years and even a little bit after, and now I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, how do I make good videos? How do I get people to watch me still? And I'm sure some of those creators are feeling the same thought. And my take here is like, there needs to be a little bit of accountability there of like, hey, maybe we're just not as good at this as we thought we were, at least nowadays. Like I was killing it a few years ago, and now I'm getting killed by channels who make videos that like I would never want to make. Like, I don't want to make a video about how to prep a session, how to run a campaign. Like, I grew up watching Matt Colville and How to Be a Great GM, and I got that education. Like, I learned from them, and I was really inspired by it. And now there's this new generation coming in and making all those same types of videos. It's like, sweet. Like, that's great. Like, if you guys are happy with what you're making and it's bringing you views and you feel like you're really adding something new here, like, all the power to you. But I kind of hold off on that stuff because I don't feel like I have a lot to add. My channel, my whole vibe is just like, I've got a million weird, crazy ideas bouncing around in my head all day about weird spins on monsters, new ways to describe things, how to take the idea of a paladin and how do you make it so different from any other paladin that you've played before, right? If you've watched enough of my videos, or if you followed me even back before the COVID, before the great AI purge on my channel, like, you know that's my thing. I like to just give as many ideas as I can in hopes of inspiring you all to go off and do something totally new with your D&D campaign, to not just do the same old thing over and over again. And going back to Dragon Magazine, where my dad wrote that article about designing a dungeon, as I was reading it, I couldn't help but laugh and think like, I'm pretty sure I've done videos that just basically said the exact same thing he was saying, only he was saying them 25, 30 years ago. And so that's kind of telling me a couple different things. Like, A, the same things are just inevitably going to get talked about over and over and over again. Like, at one point, I was kind of a little like bitter about that, of like, I can't believe there's these channels blowing up that are just rehashing what Matt Colville or what my dad already talked about. But that was like, honestly, just cope. That was just cope of me being like, well, my channel's not doing very well, so I'm going to be upset about it with other people's. Now I've kind of let go of that, and I've just realized, I have gotten a little lazy with my presentation, and I'm not having fun with it, or I wasn't having fun with it. So if you are wanting to get into D&D and you're wanting to be a part of the D&D YouTube community, I invite you to join my channel. I invite you to subscribe to the Church of Doom and indoctrinate yourself into a mindset that is all about pushing the creative boundaries, not taking any rule as it's written and just following it forever, or even just being stuck in a typical high fantasy genre. Lately, I have been really diving into mashing sci-fi and fantasy. My homebrew setting that I talk about quite a bit on the channel is called the ARC, and that is an acronym, ARC, the Arcane Repopulation Craft. It was this technological marvel, this cathedral-sized planet built by the angels to take what was left of humanity from the old doomed world and fly them across the heavens to the new world. Is that ever going to happen? Was that all just a conspiracy made up by the church and made up by the angels? Who knows? But the fun part of it is I have this giant sci-fi fantasy cathedral world that is a giant mega dungeon. And more recently, I've been thinking, I should explore the idea of the doomed world. What's going on there? Like, it didn't just blow up, and there had to have been people who got left behind. So I'm gonna have to think about more about that and share that in some upcoming videos. And before I just completely derail this whole thing into a plug for my own channel, getting back to the topic of, is D&D YouTube dying? No. There are channels, including my own, who are struggling to find their footing in a rapidly changing online social YouTube's not really a social media site, but you guys know what I mean. I think there's just channels who are struggling to do that, and those are the veterans. And so I think there's probably some like pride kind of wrapped up in there. Like I mentioned before, there's some cope going on, trying to kind of like justify what's happening. I think Guy from How to Be a Great GM handled it very gracefully, of just like, hey, the channel's not doing very well. I'm not really having a lot of fun. I'm going to step away and go start a totally new channel. huge respect for that. I think that's a great way to handle it. For me, I don't have any plans or intentions of letting go of the Church of Doom and starting up something totally new. I still feel like I have an endless supply of new ideas to provide, to give you inspiration for your own games. But I'm excited to see what new channels pop up. And I'm going to start watching more of those. I'm going to stop being a grumpy old man who's just bitter about it and is assuming in my head that they don't have anything new to offer the conversation. I'm going to go watch those videos, and I'm going to try and get more involved in the conversation. And I've done a few videos recently of kind of responding to, not really a response video, I guess it was, like Jim Murphy had put out a video sort of in this same sphere, and I responded. And that was really fun. It felt like I was interacting with the community, and I think I'll reiterate that point here. I think that's what the D&D YouTube sphere needs more of just channels interacting with each other, because it feels like right now a lot of channels are cannibalizing each other by just digging in their heels and continuing to do the same thing over and over again, and I just don't think that's going to work. Like, I don't think channels can last forever doing the same thing. Like, that's what happened to Guy, and he recognized it and stepped away. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more channels here in the next couple of years, like, decide to call it for their YouTube career, because maybe they just aren't having as much fun anymore. And I think that's where I kind of want to end it, on that point of having fun in D&D. Actually, I'm having another thought pop into my head that will probably have this go for another minute here. But speaking of a scene on YouTube that I see having a ton of fun all the time with their videos is the Warhammer 40K community. And I'm a big fan of 40K. Like, I just have a couple kit bashes right here just to prove it. This is a Black Templar Redemptor Dreadnought that I kit bashed a little while ago with a bunch of skulls on there. He looks almost chaosy, but he is a Black Templar. And then this is another kit bash I have as oh my gosh, there's spider cobwebs on that. That's crazy. This is another kit bash for a Dreadnought. You can see there's a dude plugged into the back of this giant ogre thing running around. I'm gonna run this probably as like a Brutalis Dreadnought. That stuff is really fun, and watching the 40K community do all these cool videos of like, here's my weird homebrew 40K faction I made, or here I went to my very first tournament, here's how it went. Like, those all seem like fresh, new, fun videos and really personalized experiences that are being shared on YouTube, which I think will do, they clearly are doing really well. And when I compare that to the D&D scene, from a lot of the established channels, I see the same thing getting rehashed over and over and over again. Or like the same types of content being made over and over and over again. I'm kind of like, maybe there's more to learn from the 40K scene and what they're doing with their videos than there is to be learned from the D&D video scene. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does. It was the last little idea I had there, but I'll put a cherry on top of this whole thing and I'll wrap it up to make sense of it. The same things are going to get talked about over and over and over again, as they always have been, but it's the person who shares it and how they go about sharing it and how passionate they are about it and how much they care about giving you something of real value that will determine the quality of life for their channel. That's what I think. And my channel, my value that I'm going to continue to offer people, is just giving you some of the, I think, coolest ideas possible for a D&D campaign. And as a selfless little plug here at the very end, I am having a Kickstarter coming up in February, the Doom Stronghold, where I'm going to give you as many cool ideas as I can in a zine about making a stronghold. And I'll have tables for Arctic strongholds, jungle strongholds, the dungeons beneath your strongholds, the people you can employ in them, like the actual NPCs, so that you can almost run like a whole little campaign about it. So if you got to the end of this video and you're like, hell yeah, dude, I like what you're selling, I want to buy into it, indoctrinate me into your church father, like, best way to do that is to subscribe to the channel and go follow the pre-launch page for that campaign. But that's it for my little ramble here from the Lair of Doom. Thank you for watching. And of course, share your opinions about all of this in the comments, because I could be way off. Like, there might be little pockets of D&D YouTube that I haven't even discovered or don't even know are really doing cool things. And I would love to know about them, but to have some cope and some hypocrisy here, I'm like, my algorithm isn't feeding me those. Like, I just keep getting the same things over and over again. So help me out, help the other people in our community out, share your favorite creators down in the comments, and we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.